hello everyone that's on the stream. Hope that you'll still be able to join us in about 3 or 4 minutes. We'll get started with the general meeting and then the presentation. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a minute. All right, everyone. Thanks for attending. It's kind of odd that we're doing a live stream here, but just want to, if everybody can say something in the chat just to make sure that my audio level is good, that you can hear me, and everything is coming out smooth on the chat. Yep. Okay. All good. All good. All right. Very good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We live in weird times now, so we'll get through this one way or the other. So, my name is Kyle. I am the president of SLSRC. My call is AA0Z, and welcome to the March general meeting for SLSRC. We had to hold it online, obviously, because everything has been canceled in the St. Louis area. So we decided to try this and hold it virtually, and we'll see how it works out. We might have to do this next year or next month, And if we do, we'll get through it together and go from there. First, I want to make sure that I hope you and your family are safe, you're healthy. Please stay in to help not spread the virus any further than it has. I work in that healthcare system. Bill, our vice president, Bill Carroll, works in healthcare, and we are ramping up for what is hopefully not going to be too bad of an event, but to help flatten that curve, we need everybody to stay in. So it is a little crazy out there, so we just got to get through it together. A few things on the chat here that is, actually, I don't know if it's over there or if it's over there. I think it's over there. On the chat, yep, so you have to have a Google account. Most everyone has a Google account. Just use the chat to post a message, to communicate to one another. I think it's good that we communicate and have a good time in the chat. If you can, if your call sign is, or if your name is different, I know that you can have different names on YouTube. Just put your call and your name after your message, and we'll so we know who's talking for everyone else. Also, the stream might be in standard definition. I think YouTube has changed its parameters and pushed down all of the streams on YouTube to standard definition. If you go in the bottom right-hand corner of the stream, you can change it to high def, 720p if you want, or you can keep it in standard definition. I'm not really sure if they've done that change yet, but that's what they're doing to kind of ease the bandwidth on everyone sitting at home and hanging out on the YouTube and Netflix. So usually at this time we do general member introductions. What I want everyone to do is in the chat. Actually, I think it's over here. In the chat. Oh, it's on the other side. It's over there. Do your call sign and your name, and we'll call you out as we see you, and we'll just kind of go through the motions here. On usually what we do is we say your name and your call sign and usually something about you or what you did. But just as I'm scrolling, or as the chat scrolls through, we'll just grab some people. I think Ken also wants to take an attendance here. So there's Bill, KC9CIK, Cliff, KC0SDV, George is in there, WB0IIS. I see Robert, W0EJO, Steve Wooten, Phil Stevenson, K0PWS, Steve Wooten, KC0QMU, Mark Hall, AE0ME, George Rogers, KE0RTP, Bob, AD0TF. You got Lori, KD0EPN, Larry, KE0LD, Ken, KE0VBM, our secretary, Brenda, AC0U Queen, Ronald in Northwest Arkansas. Hello, Ronald. KE5 or K5XK, Dolores, KD0CIV, Christian, K0STH. Hey, Christian. Rick, W0RCF, Bill, K0OMD, Chuck, K9KCM, Tori, KC0EEP, John, N0JL, we got Paul, KC0CBL, Dwayne, K0DY, Tony, KI0O, Rich. Rich met me at the DMR dinner down here in Orlando. Hi, Richard. KM4ZYG. Thanks, Richard, for attending. I think that was about it that I saw. So welcome, everyone. Appreciate it. We've got 52 concurrent users. Tom from Northwest Arkansas. Wayne, K5UNX. Tom, W5XNA from Arkansas. Got Bill, KD0WAN. Thanks for doing the net on Tuesday, Bill. You rocked, man. We had something like 52 or 53 check-ins. Think that's a record for SLSRC. So thanks, Bill, for doing the net. Tina, KD0OZE, the webmaster extraordinaire. Let's see who else in there. I didn't see anybody else. As it scrolls through here, I'll call people out as I see them. All right. Moving on. Hey, Kai. KE0EQEJ. He says hi, Wayne. Moving on onto the agenda here. So, do we have any new techs or upgrades in the last month? Put them in the chat over here. I think that I saw George, KE0ZVK, Zebra Victor Kilo. I think that he was a new tech. And Paul Johnson, I think he had a license from yesteryear. He is KE0 Zulu Whiskey Lima. So thanks. Has anybody else has become a new tech or gotten an upgrade in the last month or 2 months? I'd like to recognize you, so put that in the chat. But congratulations to George and Paul on becoming new hams. Travis, W0DTM, Delta Tango Mike. I don't know if that's an upgrade or you're just saying hello, you're around. If that's an upgrade. New ham. Very good. Thanks, Travis. Congratulations on becoming a new ham. Appreciate it. All right. Moving on. Any other upgrades? New hams? Not seeing any. If you are, just go ahead and post new ham or upgrade in the chat, and we'll call you out. Is there any first-time attendees in the chat? I know that I saw some people from Arkansas. I saw some other people from Central Illinois. So if you're not from the St. Louis area, put something in the chat. No, over there. Put something in the chat over there on where you're from. Maybe we'll send a prize to the person that is the farthest away. And no lying. We know when you're lying, just like Santa Claus. David, KC0DAA from Olathe, Kansas. Randy, the only form of texting I got. New extra from Randy. N9REY. Radio Echo Yankee. Congrats, Randy. Wayne is from Northwest Arkansas. Bob from Normal, Illinois. Well, thanks for attending, guys. I appreciate it. This is a little different. Chuck Maris, first time attending an SLSRC meeting. Randy, first time here. Thanks for attending. Appreciate it. Richard Taylor, St. Louis born, raised in Orlando, Florida. Just set up an APRS iGate. Very cool. Yes. iGate Digipeater. Very cool. Yeah, we have one on the one of our repeater sites and does well. All right. Moving on. Does anyone, I don't know of any, but does anyone know of any silent keys? Post them in the chat below if you know about a silent key. I have not seen any come across. Usually we get them from Facebook or some other means. Someone sends us an email. I have not seen any. Yeah, Paul, what's actually let me bring you in here, Paul. So Paul, you want to mention Harry's wife here?
Certainly. Just want to advise everybody in the group that Harry, who is one of the premier VEs in the area, unfortunately lost his wife earlier this month, and I want everybody to be aware of that and offer him their best and their condolences at this time of his life, which is undoubtedly quite challenging.
Yeah. So that was Paul. Paul KC0
CBL.
CBL. Thank you. That was Paul. He is going to come in here in a bit and do a little presentation on the new grant. And actually, let's go ahead and do that. So Paul, let me switch over. Can everyone see that? Can everyone see the screen, the SLSRC
Got
grant
it.
application? And yeah, Paul, do you remember Harry's call sign?
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
I think
know
it's W0HMS.
HMS, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
W0HMS is Paul's call, or is Harry's call sign.
And there's a silent key that was just posted in the chat.
Oh, silent key posted in the chat. Oh, Randy's father-in-law, WT5C. Condolences to your family, Randy. WT Whiskey Tango 5 Charlie. Silent key this morning. Also, Betty Jean Grady. Bill, do we know what Betty Jean Grady's call sign is? We'll post it in the chat once we know it. All right. So Paul is going to talk about the SLSRC grant application. If you can't hear Paul after I stop talking, please post it in the chat. But Paul, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Certainly. Thank you very much, Kyle. Welcome to the very interesting format of our meeting this evening. Looks like it's working well from the amount of traffic we have in the chat and communication back and forth. So I have the opportunity. I'm a brand new board member as of this year. And earlier in the year, we were provided a gift by the family of a silent key. And the gift was provided to the club with the proviso that we find a ham operator who is in need of the equipment, preferably a relatively new ham. But that was the extent of it. Rather than just us randomly picking someone, the board decided that an approach to this would be to be very similar to what the government uses for grants. So this is actually an equipment grant. The process will be fairly simple. We expect that tomorrow there will be a application form that will show up on the slsrc.org website that you can fill out. It's a PDF that is form fillable, so you can fill it out and just email it right back. Or if you choose to, you could fill it out by hand and get it back to the club via snail mail or through, we got images up there, through the email system. So I'm going to run through the process here. The equipment is an HF ICOM IC725 with a Astron power supply. And separate is a VHF Yaesu FT2500M. We're going to do this as two separate grants. So there'll be one for the HF equipment and one for the VHF equipment. If you would like to submit grant applications for both of them, you're welcome to, but you will need to fill it out as two separate applications. The process is the grant application will be on the website. We're asking that they be submitted before midnight on 4/17. That's 2 Fridays from now. And that will be sent back via email to Rebecca at KC9CIK at SLSRC.org. Sorry about the typo there. I'm not sure how I managed to pull that off. But so we get that to her. Rebecca will then take all the applications and what I call sanitize them. the names and call signs will be removed from them, and a tracking number will be put on each application so that there's no bias from knowing each other or knowing who the applicant is. We're going to try and keep this as generic as we can and as fair as we can. The applications will be blind evaluated and scored to determine who the grantee will be. The score on the website, you will have the application. You'll have a sample filled out one that I creatively filled out. Please don't use my answers because they probably won't score well. And then get it back to us. And then the intention is to announce the grantee at the April general meeting. So it's a great opportunity to get some equipment. The equipment has been checked out and is operational, so it's a great opportunity. We encourage everyone with an interest to submit an application. We would like to be really busy that weekend trying to figure them out so that we can get plenty of people interested. So with that, I will let me flip over. I'll show you what the actual. That didn't work for me. Well, I was going to show you the grant application, but it's clearly not behaving itself. So it will be on the.
Paul, it's the bring that back up. It's the second one to the end.
Oh, there it is. I see it now. Yep. Thank you. Okay, so that's what the grant application will look like. The blue areas will be things you'll fill in so that you can submit that. And as I said, it'll be submitted to Rebecca at KC9CIK at SLSRC.org. Hopefully everybody's interested, and we'll go from there. Kyle, I'm looking at the chart over here. I'm not seeing any questions. Certainly, feel free to pop up any questions on there if you're so interested and have anything on your mind.
Yeah, if you've got questions, again, put them in the chat. Paul is monitoring the chat, and we'll get them answered. I see some more people in the chat here. Richard, W0EO. Hello, Richard. I don't know if we got George, KE0RTP. I don't know if we called him. Joe, KD9N. I'm sorry, Mike November Sierra and KC0LRO. Welcome, everyone. Again, this is the SLSRC General Meeting. We're streaming it, obviously, on YouTube. We live in weird times, so we got to get out to our membership. This was the easiest way to have some type of meeting, and we didn't want to cancel the meeting, so here we are. Moving on through the schedule here on my other computer. Bill, do you want to bring Rebecca in and want to talk about finance?
We didn't have the numbers. She kind of forgot that we were going to discuss that.
Okay.
Give her minutes, and she will probably pull something out of her hat that's pretty accurate.
Okay, so Bill, do you, while she's doing that, do you want to discuss the stuck at home net?
Absolutely. So Kyle came up with a great idea. Thanks, Kyle, for doing that. Starting on Saturday, this Saturday at 8 p.m., we are going to start doing a stuck at home net. It's kind of like you've seen several wellness nets have popped up. Well, it's going to be a daily net, and we're going to kind of rotate through our repeaters. And if you go to our St. Louis and Suburban Radio Club website, pardon me, it's not Corona, I promise. But if you go to our website, you will be able to see the rotation of the repeaters. We're going to hit the 8.5 repeater, the 9.7, 9.4, and our 9.10 repeater. And we'll be going through those. All of them have a CTC SS tone of 141.3. Saturdays, we're going to do the 146.910. So that's how we're starting this Saturday, tomorrow. On Sunday, we'll do the 146.97. Mondays, 9.4. Tuesdays, we have our normal net, which is on the 8.5. That will be at 7:30. just like normal. We're doing our normal Tuesday night net. Wednesdays, we go to the 9-1 repeater back at 8 p.m. Thursdays at the 9-7 at 8. And then Fridays will be the 8-5 at 8 p.m. But you can go to our website and take a look at the schedule. And we're going to also have rotating net control operators. So come on, just take a quick listen, see how things are going. Let us know how your life's going during these interesting times that we are having to deal with. I do have some numbers. Rebecca has handed them off to me.
Okay.
In our checking, we have $18,606.45. For PayPal, we've got $3,019.98. And then our CD, which is kind of our insurance, we have $25,731.46. So those are the numbers from Rebecca.
Okay, very good. Bill, do you want to give an update on membership and programs?
So programs, obviously it's the What3Words program tonight. We're kind of evaluating how this goes to see what we're going to do with the next program. We have other programs in the pipe ready to go. We just need to kind of evaluate this, make sure it works. But you will be able to go to the website and double check those to see what's coming up. We've got one on Morse code, and then we have equipment testing. That's going to be real hard to do, I think, online. So again, we'll figure things out. We're going to have to make some adjustments because of our current status. Membership, we're doing well. We're just a little bit behind where we were last year at this time. So you're going to see emails come out to you if you have not signed up for this year. Just a gentle nudge to remind you. We hope that you do like St. Louis and Suburban Radio Club. We feel that we are a friendly club. We participate in the community. It's a good club. That's why I got involved with it almost 20 years ago, is because of its involvement with the community.
Okay, very good. Rolling down through the committee announcements, Cliff is not on, but wanted to talk about during the summer, the first Friday of the month, we have either mentoring sessions or we have back to basics. We have finished the back to basics classes, and we have transitioned into the mentoring sessions. But because of COVID-19 and coronavirus and everything else that's going on, we have decided that we are going to not cancel the mentoring sessions. We are going to hold them on the 146.85 repeater at 8 p.m. So the nightly net that Bill just talked about, we are going to transition the first Friday of the month, which is April 3rd at 8 p.m. We're going to have basically a check-in and a mentoring session, and hopefully we can get some discussion with all the check-ins and everything else. So that's what we're going to do. We didn't want to cancel the mentoring sessions, but we wanted to to keep going. So we're just going to have it on the 146.85 repeater. So I think that's probably what Cliff wanted to convey to everyone if he came onto the Hangout. So, but he's not here, so I can't bring him in. Website. So we've got a really good website out there, SLSRC.org. Go out there for everything SLSRC related. We post everything. Tina does an excellent job getting all that stuff updated. As we know about future events, things that are canceled, the daily net, the daily stuck at home net, the mentoring sessions, everything SLSRC related, we either put on Facebook, we usually put on STL Hams, we put it on our website, and also we have a Twitter account that we send out Twitter information. So if you're following any of those, you can get any of those communications through those methods. So go out and friend us on Facebook, check our Twitter, and website account, our website, and you'll get all the information. Engineering, that is me also. The only thing I want to mention about the engineering committee is we're having some CW static on the 146.85 repeater. I don't know if anybody has heard it, but sometimes whenever it keys up and gives its CW ID, there is some static in the background. Joe and I went up last weekend and reloaded the firmware on the repeater controller, and that did not. I think it's. I haven't heard it in a while, but I have heard it since we reloaded the firmware. So I think we got to do some more investigation. So if you hear the static in the background on the 8.5 repeater, know that we're taking a look at it. Oh. Hang on, we got some feedback there. Bill, you want to mute your mic there? Sorry, guys. Field day. I know that Mark is in the chat, but we are looking for field captains for field day. If you want to be our radio captains, radio captains, if you want to help us with field day setup and be a radio captain, very easy. All we have to do is set up the radios, make sure that they're working. We can train you on how to set the radios up, help set up the antennas. Post something in the chat, and Mark Hall will pick up your name. And, Mark says, field day, email fieldday@slsrc.org. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Fieldday@slsrc.org. That goes straight to Mark, and he can pick those emails up and get a hold of you and put you on the roster. Thanks, Kai. He says it's a very good active club, offers technical discussion, camaraderie, and support the growth for the hobby. The club does it right. Come join us. Thank you, Kai. I appreciate that. We try and be as flexible and accommodating to new hams as possible. There's nothing worse than going to a club meeting and no one saying hi to you or ask you, anything about the hobby. So yeah, we try and be as accommodating as possible. It's we're all in this together, right? Moving on here, I got a couple more announcements and then we'll get to the presentation. This weekend, big contest weekend, single sideband, CQ Worldwide. If you want to get your DXCC or add to it, this is a great contest to get on for single sideband. It actually started 30 minutes ago, I think, or maybe it starts at 8. I can't remember. Anyway, it goes for 48 hours, and it is a great contest. You can work it with 100 watts and a wire. That's a shout out to Christian there. And it has everybody on it. Everyone, you can work everybody else. The multipliers are different prefixes. Go out and get on the bands. They will be jam-packed this weekend. And then also, next weekend is Missouri QSO Party. That is a very active weekend for everyone in Missouri. Counties are multipliers, so you will hear a lot of Missouri counties and people calling CQ for other places, mostly on 20 meters if they want to hit the West Coast or the East Coast. But next weekend, or Saturday, April 4th, from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday, it's a 2-day contest. Saturday, April 4th, 9 a.m. to 11, and Sunday, April 5th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So get on the pans, work some people. They're encouraging people to work from home. I'm going to go out and I rented a cabin in southern Missouri and going to operate from the cabin in Howell County. I know that there are other members, SLSRC members, that do mobile and rover operations. Some of them do portable. So hopefully we'll have a lot of people on the air for Missouri QSO. All right, moving on. That was it that I had. I'm looking at the chat. Does anybody else have any general announcements that they want to make or put in the chat? So, Cliff, you got to. Cliff, you're going to have to shut your stream down. Sorry there. Yeah, I got some feedback from Cliff coming in on the Hangout. Sorry about that, guys. So anybody got any general announcements? Go ahead and put them in the chat here, and I'll wait a few seconds to see if there's anybody. Kai's in there. Bill Florich is in there. Robert Graham. Travis. All right. Doesn't look like there's any general announcements, so we'll get right to the presentation. So I want to introduce Bill. Bill's our vice president, by the way. I'm going to read a little introduction here, and we'll go from there. So Bill has been a ham for the past 15-plus years and has been active in the St. Louis Suburban Radio Club as a past vice president, president, and he's a current vice president. Bill has been involved in multiple community service events that have incorporated amateur radio into the communication process. He has participated in MS Bike, Ronald McDonald House Bike events, Lupus, Tour de Cure, Moonlight Ramble, Pedal the Cause. Bill does a ton of community service in amateur radio, and I think that's the reason why he got involved in amateur radio. He also has helped with communications for the Balloon Glow and Make-A-Wish Foundation, the Belleville Shriners Parade, and also the St. Louis Marathon. His interest in public service has been the primary reason that he got involved in the hobby of amateur radio. So let me transition. Give me a second here while I transition over to his slides. And Bill, do you want to take it away? You want to unmute your mic, and the floor is yours.
Okay, unmuted. And let me get to where I'm on my presentation. All right, so I think you have the presentation up. Yes, you do. So the presentation, the title is Chins Combining Vibes, or 38.568462 by -90.195063. What's my address? I'm going to talk about What3Words. It's a new way to address the world. I have nothing to disclose. I do not make any money off of What3Words. I probably should talk to them about that. Anyway, we're going to get started here. So What3Words is a new global addressing system. It uses 3 words to identify a location. What it does is it turns complicated coordinates, the GPS coordinates we all know, into 3 simple words and then back again. So computers are able to talk to each other with coordinates, but when you have the human intervention, we only have 3 words that we have to deal with. The reason they went with 3 words is because that's how we remember. If you ask the psychologist, we're able to remember words much easier than we can remember strings of numbers. What3Words has divided the globe into a 3-meter by 3-meter squares. That equals 57 trillion squares. Every one of them has a 3-word address. Now, of course, 3-meter by 3-meter is equal to about a 10 square foot. The words are constant. They do not change. They've already been set. The only thing that changes is the fact that they're in multiple languages, but all the word addresses have been set. If there's any similar word addresses or similar words, they tend to be separated by a good chunk of geography, sometimes halfway across the globe, sometimes at least 4 or 5 states away. Shorter words tend to be in our local area, or shorter words tend to be where the population is. The longer words, more difficult words, are in unpopulated areas like the ocean or maybe Antarctica, where only the scientists have to worry about them. But They're smart guys. Guys and gals, they should do that anyway. It is multilingual. They have currently, as of I believe it was 3 months ago, got this to 35 different languages. Once you download the app, and we'll talk about the app after a bit, once you download it, you do not need to be online. This app works offline. It just uses your GPS coordinates that are in your cell phone. So as long as your cell phone powers up and is able to reach GPS satellites, which they do, you've got addresses capability with What3Words. So let's discuss the history of What3Words a little bit. A couple guys got together. One of them is Chris. He was in the music industry. He ended up getting put in charge of organizing, getting musicians, equipment to the proper venues, to the proper weddings, to locations. And he knew that there was a problem with constantly it didn't happen. The drums didn't show up in the right spot, or the musician wasn't in the wrong spot, or they were at the wrong wedding. For example, one day Chris got the call. Chris, don't panic, but we may have just sound checked the wrong wedding. This was after that he brought into play GPS coordinates. He would give everybody involved the GPS coordinates of where they had to go, and they still had problems, including he had a guy show up and he says, hey, Chris, I'm at the coordinates, but all I see is a bush and a lamppost. And Chris is like, oh, that's not it. Once they did some digging, they figured out that this guy just transposed two numbers in the GPS coordinates. He was exactly where he needed to be east-west, but he was 2 hours away from the point north-south. So a 2-hour drive later, he finally got to where he needed to be. Chris partnered up with his friend, Mohan. Childhood friend, Mohan did well for himself. He got his PhD in mathematics. He is the chief researcher for What3Words. And in case you're bored, you can read his book, The Language of Mathematics, a linguistic and philosophical investigation. Probably not the book I will grab next, but he's a smart guy. And he and Chris sat down and started dealing with the problem. So what's the problem? The problem was getting people to the right address. When they started looking around, they discovered, per the UN, that 75% of the countries in the world do not have a well-maintained street addressing system. 4 billion plus people don't have an accurate address. And some of the most difficult spots are in India, Africa, and Central America. So if you take a look at this map, here on the map, you can see the streets. The streets are the major streets, well, the only streets are up, top left, and bottom right. Then you got a little squiggly street over there just below top right. But that's not all, because here's the population that lives on those 3 streets. All those people are there, and trying to figure out what their address is hard for them. They can't figure out their own addresses, and it causes problems with emergency services trying to rescue people, trying to help people that are ill. Those type of things are occurring. Other issues. I don't know how many people are familiar with this, but in Japan, when you build a building in Japan, your number designation is whatever number building you are. So if you're the 15th building to go up on the block, you're building 15. So if you put building 15 in between buildings 2 and 3, you're still building 15 because you were the 15th one to go up on the block. That's going to make it real hard to go up and down the street to figure out which building you need to deliver something to. And then they talk about What3Words is based out of the United Kingdom. That's where they started it all. And they talk about the fact that Church Street, there are 10 of them in London. The city planners probably need to take a look at that. It wasn't well planned out. But here in St. Louis, if I told you I lived on 307th Margaret, well, is that Margaret Avenue, Drive, Lane? And then later on, you're going to ask yourself, did he say Margarita or Marguerite? We have the same problem. We name our streets similar to each other. And You can drive through the streets of St. Louis and see that all the time. So how do we currently do addressing? Well, we've already discussed street addresses a little bit. For example, by my call sign, you can look up, I'm at 307 West 4th Street in Cahokia, Illinois. You can also use an NGS point description of a marker. That's kind of very exact. The National Geodetic Survey, NGS, set those up, and I'll give you an example of one of those here in just a second. And then you got GPS coordinates, got a couple of them there. As amateur radio operators, we're familiar with Maidenhead grid squares. And then I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but Google has come up with something, Google Map Plus code. Didn't know about it until I started researching for this presentation. They kind of snuck it in there, and I don't think they've even really announced it. It just shows up in Google Maps. When you pinpoint someplace on Google Maps, take a look over the left where it gives the addresses, and you're going to see a Google Map Plus code. And I'll give you an example of one of those also. So here you go. Here's an NGS data sheet. And in that yellow square on the corner of that building, and I stole this image offline, there's a disc. It's one of the survey discs. It's actually disc number L146. And here's how it's described by the Coast and Geodetic Survey of 1949. 2.9 miles southwest from East St. Louis, 2.45 miles south along the Missouri Pacific Railroad from the crossing of the Illinois Central Railroad at East St. Louis. Thence, by the way, I did copy this directly, thence 0.45 miles west along State Highway 157 at Parks College Airport, set vertically southeast face of the meteor, I'm stumbling on this every time, meteorology and radio building. At the east corner of the building, 0.8 foot southwest of the east corner and about 2 feet above the level of the ground. So this is the target. That's what you're looking for. And they gave very exact directions how to get there, except Highway 157 has shifted a little bit. They've moved it. But otherwise, it's right where they're telling you, except that's not how you're going to want to find something. Here's the coordinates for that. Along with that, you've got the address, 440 Falling Springs Road, Cahokia, Illinois, 62206, except it's really not that address. Couldn't find an address for that building because that building was part of Parks College. So Parks College is 440 Falling Springs Road. That building doesn't have its own address. One of the problems that the UN specified. More GPS coordinates. You should be familiar with that a little bit. Those are the amateur radio Maidenhead grid squares. So you're looking at EM48VN. And there is what I promised you, Google Map Plus code. Still haven't figured out how they designate this so much, but it is located, that disk is located in the square of HRC8 plus 8M, Cahokia, Illinois. And then here you go, small itself visual. You put in those 3 words into the What3Word app, tell it to direct you to that location, and it's going to get you on the 10-foot square piece of property that disk is at. So what is this being used for? How has it already been used? It was used in the last Olympics. For What3Words, they managed to use this to get emergency services to various locations they had to be at in the Olympic Village, all over the Olympic venues. They were making use of 3 words to get to those locations. The United Kingdom, their emergency services uses it a fair amount, and I'll give you a couple of examples of that here in a bit. Festivals. So if you're needing to, one, get help, you give your What3Word address, and the authorities will come and give you assistance, render you aid, whatever. If you're trying to find your favorite hot dog vendor, they have a What3Word address. You just put that in, you go to get your favorite hot dog. Or if you're meeting your buddy at this festival that has 100,000 people, Both of you end up standing on the same 10 square feet and you will talk to each other, I promise. There's museums in Britain that are starting to use it. They showed an example of one museum that had tons of artifacts, and along with the blurb of what the artifact was, for example, a mask, telling you what people had developed this mask, what the mask was used for. We're used to seeing where the mask would be from. They listed with the What3Word address exactly where that artifact was located on the earth. So you could plug in the What3Word address and see the square of land that that particular artifact came from. And of course, in England, like I said, they're starting to use it more and more. You use it to navigate to the hotel. You know, some of these hotels are rather big. They have multiple entrances, and you need to meet somebody at a particular entrance. Well, you don't give them just the address for the hotel. You give them the What3Word address, and they park you right there where you need to be. It's also being used for disaster responses. The UN officially uses What3Words. So when they go out for a disaster response, for example, tsunamis, earthquakes, um, military issues that are going on across the globe, the UN is now starting to make use of What3Words to be able to get their resources and their personnel to the locations they need to be. There's a search and rescue group out in California that's using What3Words. They're able to find lost children, or if you're out looking for a lost child, you can have your What3Words app. You find an article of clothing that you think may belong to the child. Not only can you give the What3Word address to where you're at finding this article of clothing, within the app, you can take a picture of it. It will superimpose the address on there, and you can send that picture back to whoever's organizing this search, and that gives them more data and more information. They can even verify whether or not that's the right, article of clothing, or is that just a bonus piece of clothing you found. Amateur radio, what are we going to use it for? Well, here locally, we can use it for a couple of silly things, actually, if we want it. And we'll get into that in a second. What if you're going to take your XYL out to eat and you decide you're going to have a nice dinner at the Hofbrau House over in Belleville, Illinois? Well, its address is Blatant Unseen Troubled. That's the front door. But you want to be a little romantic and you're going to a German restaurant. Why not give the German words for that? It's still the same words, but this time in German. I personally am probably going to stick with Blanket Unseen Troubled. But because it's in 35 different languages, it's being able to be used across the globe pretty consistently. What3Words has also had some great partnerships that have come around. I went through and grabbed some logos and some that you probably will recognize. With these partnerships, they are being used in 170 countries around the globe. And you can see, Jaguar is there, Triumph, Mercedes-Benz recently signed on, where you can talk to your Mercedes and have it take you to Plant Deli Hopscotch, and it will drive right up to the location you wanted to go. There are now 8 countries, as of, I think it was last month, that What3Words is now their postal system. So instead of having 307 West 4th Street like I do, I would have Chin's Combining Vibes. That's my front door of my house. Well, the 3 countries are Kiribati, Mongolia, Saint Martin, and Côte d'Ivoire. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that one wrong. But also we have Djibouti, Tonga, Nigeria, Solomon Islands. All 8 of these countries, What3Words is how they get their mail to their people. A couple of stories to tell you. Was not able to do the presentation. And let me do a quick check. Are there any questions in the chat line that have already popped up?
No, I think you're good.
Okay, just one, because I've seen my display and not the chat line at the moment.
Yeah, so Tom Northfeld says, great presentation. So he's liking it.
Well, good. I've only have 370 more slides to go. No, not that bad, I promise. All right, so here are the couple of stories that I would have showed you if I could, but We're still learning all this process. First one is there was a guy out jogging. This again is in England. Since it started there, they've got more stories at the moment. He's out jogging and he notices a tree that appears to be on fire. So he gets to his car, he drives up near the tree, and sure enough, there is a tree at the edge of a forest that's completely engulfed on fire. So he calls 999. That is the British equivalent of 911. He gives them a call, gets hold of the dispatcher. One of the questions the dispatcher she asks is, where are you? Well, I'm not sure. I was just jogging around the river here, so I don't know exactly where I'm at. She responded with, do you know about What3Words? By coincidence, this guy happened to have downloaded it that morning. So he says, oh, absolutely. So he pulls open the application, hits the center me button, which is kind of on the bottom right-hand corner. It tells him the 3 words. He relays those 3 words to the dispatcher. She pulls it up on the website. When she looks at it on the website, she also pulls up the satellite image of that and says, okay, so it looks like such and such is the road closest to you, and you're near the funny bridge with the humpback and the weird lights. He goes, absolutely, that's where I'm at. It's right behind me. Okay, we're sending fire crews to you now. This 999 call took about 20 seconds, and they had the information. Now, this next one was a minor car crash, only this guy didn't have the What3Word app. So he calls in, he says, hey, I don't know exactly where we're at. We can't see any signs. Multiple cars in this crash. I don't think anybody's seriously hurt, but we need the police to show up. She asked about What3Words. He was not familiar with it, didn't have it. So she asked permission to send him an SMS message. He, of course, granted it. She sends him the SMS message, which is a link to What3Words. He goes to the link. It pulls up exactly where he's at, gives him a 3-word address to his location. He again relays that to her. She's okay. The police are on their way to your location. Because he didn't have the app, it took 25 seconds. I mean, it was really impressive how quickly you can download the app and get it running. And once you have it, you really don't need web service anymore. You don't get the pretty map, maybe. You don't get the satellite imagery, but it'll still give you the 3-word address for where you're standing in that 10 square foot block. So what about the app? It is good for iOS and also, what do I have? I don't have iOS. I have the other one, and I just drew a blank. I'm sorry, guys. Android. That's what I was trying to get. Yeah. I just drew a blank on Android, but I have Android. On the Android side, I can talk about that one better than the iOS, but the iOS I'm pretty sure is very, very similar. There are actually 2 applications, but you don't need them both now anymore. The first application was the What3Words app. You just go to your Play Store, download What3Words, and you have it. You can choose your language. You can choose the language on the screen. You can choose the language that it displays things on the map. Neat piece of software. It does use satellite imagery if you want it. You got a couple of choices of maps that you can use. It doesn't have to be Google Maps, which is the default. When you are working with it, you can put in an address like 307 West 4th Street, and it'll tell you the What3Word address of Chin's Combining Vibes. Or you can put in directly, type in directly, Chin's Combining Vibes, and it will pull that up on the map. You can also just tell it. It is voice not activated. You turn it on and you speak to your app, tell it Chin's Combining Vibes. It will pull up what you've said. It'll actually pull up 2, 3, maybe 4 options to make sure it heard you right. And again, if there are similar addresses, similar word addresses, they're not going to be on the globe together. So if you pull it up and it didn't hear you say the plural of Chins, well, Chin Combining Vibes may be in Indonesia. It's not going to be in Illinois. So you're not going to make those errors. They built in this error correction. You can also now scan. So if you have printed a 3-word address, you just go to the camera function on the app. It will scan it. and it will pull it up on the map for you, and then you can get directions to that location. The reason this has become important is because more and more travel brochures or travel books are starting to put in What3Word addresses because it is getting popular across the globe. Now, the other app, which you don't need anymore, is the 3-word camera. So it knows where you are, pulls up the address, you hit the camera button, and it will take a picture and it will superimpose your What3Word address onto the picture. Now the original app does that itself. You don't need the separate camera app. But a couple different ways to use it. One, you can, like if there's a pretty flower you want to get a picture of, stand at the flower, capture the What3Word address, back up, take the picture, and now you will know exactly where that flower is. Or if you just want to know where was I standing when I took the picture of this sunset, same thing. You zero in where you are by hitting the one button, tell it to go to the camera, and take your picture, and you've got it again. It's really cool things. Again, iOS, I'm pretty sure, is working the same way. I have used it when going into IKEA. Not exactly sure where I parked because I didn't park at my normal spot. So I took a picture of my car with the What3Word address. And when I came out, I told it to direct me back to it. And there I am walking straight up to the driver's side door. It works wonderful. Now, it doesn't work great in buildings, just like your GPS on your phone doesn't work inside of a building very well. You still have the same problem with What3Words because you're getting blocked by all the concrete, steel, lead, medical equipment in my case, those type of things. So how are we going to be able to use it for amateur radio? So I joked around, this last holiday dinner, we did have people ask us, which door do I come in? I'll tell you what, if you come in Schrank Hydration Hotspots, that's the front door of the hospital, and you can get to the dinner that way. Or are you going to field day this year? We've already talked about the fact that we need people to help us out with that. Field day, we are going to be at the McDonald Pavilion in James S. McDonald Park. And that address of Ashes Flip Trash, it's not the center of the pavilion. I centered that on the sidewalk just as it goes under the pavilion. That's where you want to go. IKMS setup. As Kyle mentioned, I'm involved with a lot of charity rides and those things. This is one that's very near and dear to my heart. Net control is located here. Kyle has been at this location, and the door you want to come in is at Popped Stand Hosts. Just put it in, hit direction, and it will take you there. Finally, 2021 Winterfest is going to be coming up. We want to be bigger and better than we were for 2020, and that's a big feat because we had an excellent Winterfest. So we're going to have new vendors. We want new vendors, and they need to know where to come to. Well, if you tell them to use the What3Word address of Entered Cycle Slave, that will take them to the back entrance of the convention center. And most of you who have been there will recognize that that is the loading dock, and the door for them to come in is right in front of that at Entered Cycle Slave. How's it being used locally already? Well, St. Louis Amateur Television Society has beat us to the punch. It's on their website. So they have a video tour of their repeater. And let's see if I can get this to work right. On their website, you can take a look right there at Swam Lawfully Cousins. That's their tower. What if you are working some event or just out and about and you know your food truck is out there and that food truck posts where they have parked because they move around and they are located at Clues Afford Decreasing. You just go to Clues Afford Decreasing, punch that into your What3Words app, tell it to lead you there, and it's going to take you right there. As you see, that's a plot of grass in front of my favorite food truck.
Which one is that, Bill?
Pardon me?
Well, which food truck is that?
Well, there's a couple I like. I pulled this one from a group that occurred last summer, and I'm drawing a blank on which one it is. Is it Oriental one? Rebecca's trying to tell. Soul Taco. I like them.
Very good.
I've had their food. All right, hams in Southern California are already using What3Words. They're doing it for search and rescue. My wife's laughing at me.
No, Kyle wrote, sleep, eat, repeat should be his quarantine 3-word address.
Well, he could drive up to that point if he can find out where it is. It's simple words, so that means it should be on land. All right, so anyway, hams are using it for search and rescue. And as you can see here, that helicopter landed at prompt beast busiest. Now, you can send GPS coordinates to folks, but if you are verbally having to tell somebody a GPS coordinate with multiple characters, there's a bigger chance of them messing up. Whereas if you send them prompt beast busiest, even if they start to misspell one of those words or they put in beast prompt busiest instead, the auto correction feature of What3Words, you're going to see, well, I don't think we're supposed to go to Italy to pick this guy up. I think I have it wrong. So you don't even start out. You get to get it clarified right away. Other uses that are being done right now, again in California, they like their forest fires and they have smoke spotters there. Smoke spotters are now being trained in What3Words. And to me, there's no training involved. It's very easy to use this application. And they're able to, once they see a spot, they can refer to their map and pull up the What3Word address and be able to communicate to that information to the people who need it. Locally, or not so locally, Nashville tornado that occurred a month ago. Take a look at the devastation that occurred there. Where do you see a street sign? It's blown away. And if you're going down there to help out and you're not familiar with the territory already, you don't know the streets, there's no building standing that you have landmarks, you pull out that What3Word app and you can communicate exactly where you are at, exactly where you need a rescue team, or where you need a Red Cross truck to come pick up a family to take them somewhere. You're able to pull that information up real quick, real time, and you don't even need the Wi-Fi. And then I know we had a couple of hams from our club several years ago that went to Joplin tornado after that occurred. They had the same problem. They didn't know where they were at because, yeah, you pull it up on a map. You have a paper map with you. You're driving around. You think you're following the roads, but there are no landmarks. Everything's flat. Everything's burnt. Everything looks like pixie sticks all over the ground. So this is why What3Words is working out well. This is why the developers have put it together, because it's a simple to use device, or not device, but application. And it can be used for anything. We can put it and mark down exactly where our antennas are for the repeaters. So you can track down how far away you are from them. I managed to have somebody, it was Cliff. He built me. And Kyle, if you can, I don't know if you got an image of me on there. Yeah, there you go. So there you go. I got to look at it again, make sure it's right. Yeah, I'm reading it backwards, so it looked funny. I'm at people, spaces, transmitted. That's where I sit when I talk on my radio. I like the fact that it's people, spaces, transmitted. It works great for a radio location. And that's pretty much going on into it. Any questions? And I will flip back so I can see the questions that pop up.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill. So we'll wait to see if we have any questions here in the chat. And Bill is still up on the screen. I forgot to create a scene with myself on here so I could be in the frame with Bill. But if anybody wants to put some more presentations, I'm reading Bill Floris's comments. If anybody wants to have ask any questions, feel free, put it down in the chat. and we'll wait about 10, 15 seconds to see if there's any questions.
Well, and take a look what Cliff put out there, that he heard an EMS call out to the Castlewood State Park Trail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Where that-
right. It would have been perfect for that because the trail is so long that the EMS could have gotten right to the location on the trail, right?
Absolutely. And that was one of the things that the two, Chris and Mora, were concerned with. Even the 25% of the countries that do have a decent addressing system, and including the US for that too, we like to go out and we like to go camping. We like to get on trails. We get on the rivers. Those don't have addresses. Or even just, mile and a half away from me at what used to be Parks College, it's not that anymore. They pulled out. All those buildings don't have addresses.
Right. So you got a
Oh.
question here. Paul asks, has the Metro PD adopted this?
Now, I don't know of anybody other than amateur radio operators who are actively using it at the moment. Now, I do have an in with a police officer, and I don't know how he feels about What3Words yet, but my youngest son, who is now a St. Louis cop, going to discuss it with him a little bit. But again, here in St. Louis, you've got a decent addressing system. Now, you would have problems if you're in an abandoned building, those type of things. If you're on the Riverfront Trail, if you're attending Balloon Glow in Forest Park, where we have tons of people down there, or Fair St. Louis, where there's tons of people, What3Words would work well to be able to designate where people are at. I also have an in with EMS. So I am planning on talking it up to St. Louis PD and also to EMS, basically just emergency services. It's a nice adjunct to be able to figure out where people are at.
Gotcha. Tom asks, does the application pick the words?
No, the words are already assigned. All, what did I say? 57 trillion. I got to go back to my slide. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. I think it's 57 trillion squares. Yeah. All 57 trillion squares have already been named. Their names are set. The only thing that is being changed a little bit is that because they are making it multilingual, that's it. So but they're still set. The word for table, it's still going to be table in Swahili, Japanese, German, whatever. It's still going to be table. So those words are set. Now, they have had people ask, hey, we built this building and we noticed our front door address is such and such, and we don't like that much. We'd like to change it. Well, the answer is no, you can't change it. You can move your door though, because these words are set. That way they're set in stone. They're not going to change on anybody. So it's going to be a constant. You can't even say that about our street addresses anymore.
True. I've had a couple of projects that they've changed the address halfway through the construction. So that gets interesting.
Oh yeah, I bet that was just a bundle of fun.
Yeah. All right. I don't see any more questions. Does last call for questions?
Does it provide turn-by-turn directions?
Oh, the question is, does it provide turn-by-turn directions? Yes, when you say lead me to it, direct me, it's going to give you turn-by-turn directions like what you're used to seeing with Google Maps and those type of things. And it's turn-by-turn. And then if it's, out in the middle of nowhere, it's going to be step-by-step.
Yeah. Thanks, Rebecca, for catching that question. I did not see that.
It's by Kiefer.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. They didn't put a name or a call sign, so I'm not really sure who asked that. But yeah, good question there. All right, last call for questions. I got some more announcements I want to redo as we have more people. Looks like we got about 58. We've been hovering around 58 to 60 people. So, any more questions? Joe Flegel, W0FY, says hello. Hello, Joe.
And folks, thank you for the thanks and saying it's a good presentation. It's going to be out here. We're going to keep it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. All right, Bill, one last thing. I'm going to put you back on the screen here. Do you want to give another announcement about the week or the daily net?
Yeah, let me pull up the screen so I have my reference.
And Joe asks, how much memory does this application take in your phone?
Joe, I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I haven't noticed any issues with my phone's memory at all. In a bit, I'll try to pull it up and see what it's taking, but I don't think it's much at all. All right, but first let me deal with the issue of our stuck at home net. That's what you asked me to talk about, right, Kyle?
Yeah, let's just make sure everyone's on the same page for the weekly net. I'm sorry, I keep calling it the weekly net. The daily net that we are going to start on Saturday of this week.
Correct. Saturday at 8 p.m. So the net will start in this Saturday. It's going to be on the 146.910 repeater. And every Saturday until we get done with shelter in place, isolation, quarantine, whatever you want to call this, hooky days. But anyway, every Saturday it's going to be on the 146.910 repeater at 8 p.m. On Sundays, it will be on the 970 at 8 p.m. Mondays, 940. Tuesdays, we won't have the quote daily net, the stuck at home net, because we already do our Tuesday night net, and that will be back at 7:30 p.m. So we're not changing the format of our Tuesday night net. Still on the 8.5 repeater, still at 7:30 p.m. Wednesdays, we go back into stuck at home net mode, and it will be at 8 p.m. again, 910 repeater. Thursdays, the 970 repeater at 8 p.m., and Fridays, the 85 at 8 p.m. Folks, you don't have to write anything down. It's out on the website. That's where I just read it from. Thank you very much to Tina and Kyle, and I'm pretty sure it's mostly Tina, for taking care of that. I shoot stuff to her, and it pops up rather quickly, and I appreciate her.
Yep, very good. Yep, appreciate Tina.
Kyle does a fair amount of stuff too, though.
Well, Tina takes care of the website, so thank you, Tina, if you're still out there streaming. Still out there watching the stream. I'm streaming. You're watching the stream. All right. I think that is it. I want to thank everyone for watching the stream. I know we live in unusual times, but I think this was a great way to get the info out to the ham radio community, the SLSRC members. Also, give you something to do while you're stuck at home. Thanks to Bill for presenting. I want to thank everyone, Paul and Cliff, to help me test all of this stuff, because you would not believe on the back end here. I'll show my screen just for those who like to see what's going on. Going on in the back end. So thank you again, and watch the website, watch our communication on what we're going to do for next month, and remember mentoring sessions on the 8.5 repeater the first Friday in April. So I think that is it. Bill, do you have anything else?
No, I do not. And Joe, I was trying to chase down how much memory it takes, but I'm not finding it. So, Rebecca may have the answer.
I responded in the chat.
Oh, Rebecca put it on the chat.
Okay, Rebecca put it in the chat.
Doesn't talk to me.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate everyone.
100.
Yeah, we're good. So Rebecca put it down in the chat. I think we're good. we will see everyone and hear everyone, talk everyone to everyone on the Stuck at Home Net. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.